Thanks for joining us at 5, everyone. I'm Phil Lipoff.
I'm Kim Christensen. New this afternoon from 9 News Investigates, a man was legally drunk and on meth when he caused a head-on crash last month, killing 5 people near Franktown. Walter Hewling had been paroled from state prison in September of 2023.
Kevin Vaughn from 9 News Investigates joins us now. Kevin, you found there were problems throughout his time on parole.
That's right, Phil and Kim. Documents we obtained show that he repeatedly missed drug tests and skipped mandatory meetings with his parole officer. He was also arrested in Longmont in a disturbance in which he admitted drinking heavily and using mushrooms. When Walter Hewling III lost control of the stolen car he was driving last month and caused a crash that ended in the deaths of himself and 4 others on Highway 83 near Franktown, he had a blood alcohol level of 0.23, nearly 3 times the legal limit for intoxication in Colorado, according to an autopsy report obtained by 9 News Investigates. And that's not all. He also had meth in his system.
Considering this individual's prior history, the fact that he was high on meth and under the influence of alcohol should not come as a surprise to anyone.
9 News legal analyst Scott Robinson pointed to a history that included this: that before being approved for release, parole board members knew that an assessment of Hewling's risk to commit another crime was classified as high, that he was arrested in Longmont after a disturbance where he admitted to consuming mushrooms and drinking, and that he skipped drug tests, didn't show up for meetings with his parole officer, and failed to finish required treatment. Any one of those things could have led Hewling's parole officer to seek a revocation order that could have sent him back to prison. That collectively they did not left Robinson shocked.
There weren't just warning signs. This was like Vegas, the Strip, with lights flashing. It's unbelievable that the parole officers supervising this individual did not seek to revoke his parole.
The records of Hewling's parole leave another question unanswered. Because he was high risk to offend again, his parole officer was supposed to have monthly face-to-face meetings with him. But the documents turned over to us by the Colorado Department of Corrections show there was no contact between Hewling's parole officer and Hewling for more than 2 months before this fatal crash. Live in the studio, Kevin Vaughn, 9 News.
The missed opportunities to prevent something that was so tragic, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, the death toll in this crash is just terrible. 3 children died. It's awful.
Destroyed families. All right, thank you so much.
All right, take a look outside. You wouldn't be able to tell it by looking outside, but it is in fact December here in Colorado. This is video from out in Netherlands. You can see that sunshine and there was a slight breeze out there, but it made just for a gorgeous day. And we're talking about unbelievable temperatures here in December. Here in Denver, even nicer in December. We hit highs of 76 degrees. Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin joins us now. Just so nice, Kathy, you had to go outside.
It is. It's beautiful out here, Phil. And thankfully, the wind is easing a bit because we've had concerns and fire weather warnings out for the foothills again today. Outside we go. The sun has set on a day with a record high as we kick off the first full week of winter. Yesterday, we tied the record at 67. Today, we blew that record to bits at 76 degrees. We're typically in the low 40s this time of year, and temperatures are still above average this hour. 60s and 70s along the Front Range. Thankfully, the wind is starting to decrease along the foothills. The red flag warning, the fire weather warning, we hope that will be scaled back or allowed to expire here within the hour. We're tracking a system north and west of us that may actually bring some moisture to Colorado in the form of snow. It won't be to Denver, but Colorado ski resorts have a chance at seeing some Christmas snow. Temperatures in the 60s now. Will drop 10 degrees by 9 o'clock. And coming up in Maine weather, details on how long this above average temperature trend will last. And I'll let you know if we're going to have to worry about fire danger in the foothills again tomorrow, and much more on the mountain Christmas snow outlook. That's all ahead.
We're seeing some wind today, but it's nothing compared to what we saw on Friday. It blew the roof off this climbing gym in Longmont, closing it for the time being. It also toppled trees. This is video from Boulder after a tree came down, blocking off the road. In some areas, Boulder wind gusts hit 100 miles per hour. The winds were so strong, they caused power outages for thousands of people, adding to the thousands who had their power purposefully shut off by Xcel. In fact, hundreds of people are still without power even today day. This is a look at Xcel's outage map. It still shows about 1,000 people in the dark. It's unclear if those people had their power knocked out or if they had it shut off by Xcel as part of the safety shutoff.
After more than 9 months in ICE custody, immigration advocate Jeanette Vizgara has been released. The American Friends Service Committee shared these photos of her shortly after her release. Over the weekend, an immigration judge ruled that Vizgara could be released on a $5,000 bond, saying her detention had become, quote, unconstitutionally prolonged. The bond order doesn't resolve Vizgara's case, including her challenge to her deportation order. That will still need to be decided in immigration court. Vizgara is expected to speak tomorrow. New at 5, a judge in Pueblo County has accepted plea deals offered for John and Carrie Halford. The couple ran the Return to Nature funeral home. You'll remember this was in the news. They are accused of giving families fake remains while leaving nearly 200 bodies to decompose. As part of the plea agreements, John faces between 30 and 50 years in prison. Carrie's sentence would range from 25 to 35 years. Their sentences will be decided in February and in April.
As we speak, Denver City Council is meeting for a final vote to nail down a location for the Denver Summit FC's new stadium. Before City Council, soccer fans got together at Civic Center Park, showing their support for the Summit and their future stadium. From there, they marched to City Council chambers ahead of the meeting. There are several ordinances on the docket, which would change the zoning at Santa Fe Yards and free up $50 million needed to buy that land for the project. We caught up with Summit Club President Jen Millett, who says she hopes the vote passes, but says the team is ready to adjust if it doesn't.
We'll have a club starting in 2026, and we will have a home somewhere in the 2028 season. And so we're hopeful that this will pass tonight, but we will regroup, we're resilient, and we will chart our course once we know the outcome.
9 News' Spencer Soysher is at today's City Council meeting. He's going to bring us the latest coming up at 6 on Next with Kyle Clark.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle frustrated following the release of the Epstein files, saying all details need to be transparent. No redactions.
California is dealing with heavy flooding ahead of the holidays, and officials say even more rain is on the way.
And the Kansas City Chiefs are making a pretty big move, leaving Missouri, where the team will play now that the stadium deal has been reached. The long-awaited Epstein files have been released, as you know, but with a slew of redactions and blacked-out details.
And now both Democrats and Republicans are calling for a full release of all of that from the DOJ. Today, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said he'll introduce a resolution asking the Senate to initiate legal action against the Department of Justice. Of the roughly 3,500 files released on Friday, more than 680 pages of documents were entirely redacted. The DOJ has defended what it's released so far. Epstein victims, however, remain frustrated over the lack of transparency.
I can't say that I'm surprised at how this rollout has taken place, but I'm definitely disappointed. We had an opportunity for real transparency here, and I think that what is most upsetting to me is the fact that this has been so highly politicized when it's not a political issue.
Senator Schumer says he'll force consideration of the measure when the Senate reconvenes in January. Meanwhile, Republican Representative Tom Massey and Democrat Ro Khanna says they will plan on taking that action in the House as well. They co-authored the bill that initially compelled the DOJ to release its records on Jeffrey Epstein.
We may be seeing record heat here, but people living in California are enduring a series of storms bringing dangerous amounts of rain. One person died after flash floods inundated cities. This was in Northern California. Crews performed water rescues Sunday where the floodwater was chest deep in some places. This prompted rescue teams to use jet skis and small boats to access certain neighborhoods. In the meantime, a level 3 of 4 flooding threat is in place for more than 17 million people in Southern California Wednesday. Washington State is also dealing with a new problem following its massive flooding. King County Public Health says people might see rats in their toilets, and that's the appropriate reaction for that. It put out a post saying heavy rain might have swept rats into the sewer system, pushing them into your toilets. Their advice? Close the lid and flush.